All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Sena. I am the new Spanish teacher here at Erie this year, and I am currently teaching Spanish 1, Spanish 2, as well as AP Spanish. On this slide, you'll find my contact information. My email is Sena_Emily at st. Vrain Valley School District.org. My WebEx code for my personal room is there as well, and I also included my Calendly information, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So, a little bit of background about me. I am from Raleigh, North Carolina. I actually just moved to Colorado a few weeks ago in July, which has been quite a wild transition moving across the country during a pandemic. So, it has been an interesting start, especially to the school year this year, but I'm excited to be here at Erie. So, a little bit more about my background. I studied Spanish in college. I actually went to the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, which is at the beach. That was my number one request, was that I wanted to go to a school at the beach. So I spent my days studying actually on the beach. And then I also studied abroad while I was an undergrad, and I went to northern Spain. And my request there was I had to be in a city at the beach. So I continued my studies, though. Actually, I started a master's program when I was still finishing up my undergrad degree. And in 5 years, I was able to graduate as well with a master's in Spanish and also a focus in teaching licensure. This is my 7th year teaching overall, and it's actually my 7th year as a tiger in some form. I was previously a Bengal tiger, and so now I'm an Erie tiger. So I definitely have a lot of orange in my wardrobe that I still get to wear and definitely rock on Fridays. And I'm very passionate about Spanish. I love working with students, not just in the classroom, making them excited about learning the language, but also outside of the classroom, taking them on trips to other countries when the world situation permits that, and also close to home, working with National Spanish Honor Society is a big passion of mine and something that I hope to bring to Erie in the next couple of years. A little bit more of background about me. That is me with not my children, but my niece and nephew. They are two of my favorite people on the planet. And I guess a close second place behind my niece and nephew would be my fiance, who is the reason that I actually moved here to Colorado while he pursues a law degree post-military. So that's a little bit about me and where I came from. So my expectations for Spanish 1 and 2 are very similar. So our grading policy in both courses is that assessments are worth 30%, reading, writing, and projects are worth 20%, speaking and listening is worth 15% of their grade, and homework and classwork is worth 20% of their grade, and the final weighs in at 15%. What's important to know for both Spanish 1 and 2 is that students are recommended to have a C or higher at the end of each semester to continue in the course the next semester or to advance to the next level the following year. If a student ends up having lower than a C, they really don't have the foundational skills to go on, and they're going to tend to struggle more if they do choose to go on. So we do encourage that they repeat that course that they did get lower than a C in the following year. Important things to know, tutoring right now. Tutoring is by appointment. I offer that on Fridays during the school day. Students can sign up via Calendly or arrange by email with me a time to meet. Calendly is an awesome website where they just click on the link to my Calendly and they can see exactly when I actually have tutoring availability and what spots are blocked off because I have other students that I'm going to be working with then. And currently tutoring is happening in my WebEx personal room. As far as other expectations for Spanish 2 as well as Spanish 1 here, we have the same expectations for both courses. Students need to bring all required materials to class daily, especially their grammar notebooks. The grammar notebook is a spiral-bound notebook, and the goal of this notebook is that students will carry it from year to year, Spanish 1 to 2, and then as they continue on, they can continue to build their grammar notebooks because everything in Spanish is foundational and it weighs upon itself. Our other big expectation is that students adhere to the school-wide electronic devices policy and that they adhere to academic honor code. We obviously know that Google Translate exists, but Google Translate doesn't tell me what your student knows, and it tends to be wrong. So we try to discourage that as much as we possibly can. A typical day in both Spanish 1 and 2 include many of the following activities you guys see here. We usually have a warm-up activity. We go over homework, or we complete some sort of review activity to reinforce topics that we've already learned. We usually include vocabulary practice. We learn some sort of new grammar topic. We practice that grammar, and we either do something creative with it, like a mini project, or we'll play a game with it to get more comfortable with whatever that topic might be. Students should also expect homework every single night. That is very typical in our language classes because there's so much memorization to be done that sometimes students come in and they don't realize it is as much work as a core class as far as the time that you have to put in to be successful in a Spanish class. So materials are the same for both levels. Make sure that students have a binder with dividers. 1 inch is fine, and if they choose to share their binder with another class, it needs to be organized. They also need to have their spiral-bound one subject notebook that's dedicated just to their notes. They need colored pens, which is used to color code important changes that happen in the conjugations and verb tenses. And we also, typically, if we're in person, make index cards to help memorize the many vocabulary words that we have. Other common materials include tape and glue stick, as we're adding things into our spiral-bound notebooks, as well as whiteboard markers. Some other special materials that I usually ask for anyway for our classroom include things like tissues, hand sanitizer, Clorox wipes, and whiteboard markers, because we do want to make sure that our students have a clean working environment. As well, another common topic that parents usually ask me is, how can I help my student be successful in a language class if I can't speak the language? So what I usually require is that parents encourage students to study for at least 30 extra minutes each night. And that is just to reinforce those many vocabulary words. Parents can also help with flashcards. My parents did not speak Spanish when I was learning Spanish in high school. So what they did do for me was they would show me the Spanish side, and then they would look back at the English side and they would say, yes, that does mean blah, 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 when I guessed it. You can also have them teach you about a grammar topic or ask you speaking questions. It doesn't matter necessarily that you understand what they're asking you. It's the fact that they're producing the language. And when you teach somebody a different topic, it's actually considered one of the most effective ways to ensure understanding. Other resources I have for you all include Quizlet, Conjuguemos, StudySpanish.com, Duolingo, Free Rice. These are all great websites where students can go and get instant feedback for extra practice. And they're ones that we use frequently when we do tutoring as well. Please encourage your students to come to tutoring. Tutoring sometimes has a stigma attached to it, but it's really a wonderful opportunity to get one-on-one interaction tailored to their needs. And lastly, if you can encourage your students to maintain a positive attitude when learning a new language, that is the best thing. It will come with challenges. I like to tell them that Rome wasn't built in a day. They certainly didn't learn to speak their first language overnight, so they're not going to learn to speak their second language that quickly either. Moving on to AP Spanish. So AP Spanish works a bit differently. We have some different categories here. So our major category is evaluation. That can include things like vocab mini tests, traditional assessments. It can include essays. Written language includes more of mini essays, some of our emails that we will do. Oral language is anything related to speaking that we're doing in class, be it a formal presentation or informal speaking during class time. And classwork and homework is worth 20%. And our final exam and final project is worth 15% of the overall grade. Regular course components for AP include vocabulary. Students will get a significant number of vocabulary lists of higher order vocab words that will be words that are commonly found on the exam or words very similar to previous year's exams. We also complete periodicals. Those are just current events to help students understand what's currently happening in the Spanish-speaking world, because those topics are frequently pulled from for the AP exam. And we also do quadriculas. Quadriculas I love for AP Spanish because they give students a choice in how they want to study and how they want to involve themselves a little bit more in the culture. So they can watch things like a telenovela episode, or they can listen to a podcast in Spanish, but they get to pick in that activity what they do to learn their Spanish. A typical day in AP, it really does vary, but a typical day will start with a journal activity and some sort of discussion around it where we're sharing out. We usually do some sort of vocabulary practice. That's not necessarily every single day, but we have a cultural topic definitively every day. And we also review all the grammar that students have learned from Spanish 1 to 4. And we continue to practice that because if it's something that's going to be on the exam, I want to make sure that they are prepared for it. Lastly, we always do some sort of AP exam component practice. So here's an example of what the AP exam looks like, what we're working towards. So we have print text that students will have to read. We have text where they have to also engage with audio. We have just plain audios that students have to be able to listen to and understand. And then we have what we call more of our performance tasks, where there are writing tasks like the formal email that students have to write or a persuasive essay that they have to write and defend their viewpoint. And it also includes conversations and presentations in the target language. So to prepare students for all of this, we obviously start with these exam components early, and we talk quite a bit about the different topics that are found on the AP exam. There's 6 big themes that we cover, but within that, there are so many different subtopics that we will talk about throughout the year. So we're kind of always doing something a little bit different in AP. So that's just a little bit about each class and kind of what to expect. Lastly, I want to leave everybody one more time with our my contact information, how you guys can reach out to me over email, through my WebEx personal room. I can schedule meetings as well through Calendly, or I can also just use my email to schedule meetings. So I hope that gives you guys a good idea about our few different Spanish classes that I teach here at Erie.